Welcome, everyone, to WSA TV. I'm Laura Rubenstein, your host and producer. And today, have you thought about the rocky road that life seems to be bringing us and being able to navigate through to something powerful and positive? Well, I've got experts here today to help you navigate the change to your dreams and your vision future. So let's go ahead and say hi to them today. Hi, Wanda.
Hello, I'm Wanda Williams. I'm a grief life coach as well as author. I'm located in Raleigh, North Carolina, and you can find me at mywordtherapy.com.
Great to have you, Wanda. And
Too.
hi, Deborah.
Hello, I'm Deborah Valentina, and I am an intuitive mindset coach, an author, and a speaker. And you can find me at creativing.info, and I am here in Denver, Colorado.
Great to have you, Deborah. And hi, Sarah.
I am Sarah M., inspirational speaker and author, and I'm in Florida, Tampa Bay, Florida. You can find me at sarahm.com.
Great to have you, Sarah. And hi, Teresa.
Hey, I'm Teresa Porter, and I am in Cary, North Carolina, and I am a speaker, a writer, and a photographer. And you can find me at teresaporter.com.
All right, you ladies are dynamic. I've been, studying up on you, and you have a lot to offer those people who need and are craving change. If there's something you're craving and they're craving in their lives and they need a little bit of new perspective or something to help them get to where they want to go, I want to know, what advice do you have for them? And Wanda, why don't you start us off?
Being a grief coach, this particular day and time with all the COVID-19, all the deaths that's occurring right now, I work with many people. And the change that's important right now is to know that though we are going through this sadness with so many people and their families losing loved ones, we'll get through this in a matter of time. So though there's sadness today, in time, things do get better.
Yeah, and grief doesn't only have to do with death. And yes, there are a lot of death, but there's a lot of other loss we're dealing with. So what advice do you have for people, if they need to get back to a sense of feeling like they can make change in their life? Where can they start?
Within. We've got to begin to look at ourselves, the strengths that we have, what changes that we want to make within ourselves, and be honest. It's so important to be honest with ourselves and focus on what it is that you know and what you think is best for you, not what other people think or what they desire, but you know you best, and just look deep within and you know your strengths. Find out what your strengths are and build on those.
Yeah. When we build on our strengths and we understand ourselves, we have more power. Would you agree?
I do. I agree with that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that wisdom. I mean, I think people want to stuff their feelings and not be honest with their feelings. And that's a golden nugget that you gave us today. And I wanted to go over to Deborah and ask for the advice you would give to people looking to make change today, from your expertise.
Well, I love what Wanda said about looking internally, because that really is a piece of guidance that I would like to share with the audience. And that is to really create a trusting relationship with your intuitive guidance. And I call it my knowingness. And what I would invite audience members to do is to every morning, or as many mornings as you can, to sit quietly, get centered, and to really connect with your guidance, which is very available, and everyone has it. And so I've been doing this personally for over 30 years, almost every day. And I have a dialogue with my intuitive guidance, my knowingness. I ask it questions big and small, as small as, what do I wear for this WSA interview, to big questions like, what's next with my career, or if I'm having some rocky road with a relationship. So what I know for sure is that your intuitive guidance always, always has your highest good at the forefront.
A question that came to my mind about this sitting with our inner voice is some of our inner voices are not very nice to us. They're kind of mean, or they are really hard on us. What's the difference between this inner guidance voice and those other voices?
Oh, what a fabulous, fabulous question. And so the judgmental voice that you're talking about is your left brain, and it's the protective part of your brain. It's judgmental, or you know, sometimes what you would label mean, because it wants to protect you, really. And so the what I say, the difference to distinguish it, and it's very important to distinguish it because you don't want to be listening to the judgmental, mean voice. It's usually loud. It's usually insistent. Yeah, loud and insistent. And the intuitive guidance voice is usually quieter. It has no judgment, and it's matter of fact. It's like a what so voice. And so you can begin to experiment with that, of hearing the difference. So I love the question.
Yeah, and I love the answer, because it's so key that we are very clear on the different parts of ourselves. And that's what Wanda was saying, is get honest with your feelings so that you can hear the different voices that you're saying, Deborah. And I want to ask now, Sarah, what advice do you have for people to, if they want to make change, you know, and start from within?
Sure. Yes. For me, I I agree with Wanda and Deborah. You know, you touch on something important. I will add to that in order to change, we have to look at ourselves in a positive way. And that starts with love. We need to love ourselves and love the people around us, our family members, for example. So love is radiate positive energy and give us hope, a strong hope that give us more excitement that yes, it's possible, whatever you want to change to, and be positive. Positive perspective is very critical, especially in today's world. It's everything negative around us, but we can always find something positive about any situation.
Yeah. And, you know, tying all three of you together, Sarah, what I'm hearing is if you can keep that positive talk to yourself, you're kind of taming that judgment voice so you can hear when you sit the guidance voice and really be with your, it's not about being, you know, not having those emotions, Wanda, that you talk about. It's about acknowledging those emotions. What I'm hearing, Sarah, is, and then look for the positive. Would you agree?
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
And yeah, and Sarah, then bringing in that positive perspective, because you could look at a situation from a half full or a half empty, right? And
Yes, definitely.
great. All right. And then Teresa, now what advice can you add to how we can invoke this change in our lives?
Great. I mean, I think Sarah and Wanda and Deborah have covered so much of it. It's the head work, the heart work that has to happen. I think when we talk about change, there's a reason you haven't done it yet. It's kind of the first thing to think about, right? It's not that we're not aware sometimes that changes need to be made, but there's something that holds you back from that. And I know for me personally, it's always because I'm thinking about somebody else and how they'll perceive me, or you know, someone got there first or is doing it better, so why do I have to even try? And what I found is I think about when my daughter was born. She's 7 now, but when she was born and I just held her and I looked at her and I was like, oh my gosh, she's perfect. She's a 10 out of 10. And we all started that way, right? We were all some baby in someone's arms, and some mother looked at you and said, your mother looked at you and said, this is a 10 out of 10. And something happens in life where we see that number differently and we reduce our value, but fundamentally it never changes. Our value never changes. We are always a 10. And being in that headspace almost sets you free to not worry about somebody else having done what you want to do first, or that it's not too late to start. You have it within you to do it. What will make you great? And that courage, I think, really helps. Yeah.
And how do you detach yourself from a value that you might put on yourself or you charge or something? Talk about that.
That's a great question. In my opinion, there's only so much inside work you can do by yourself. It's hard to fix a problem from within the problem. And we have amazing resources available. I know the wonderful coaches in this room here. There's coaching opportunities. There's ways of being with other people who inspire you, or just having that openness to say, hey, this is something that I want to change and I don't know how to do it, but I could use a lot of support. I think that really helps.
Thank you. This has been really rich when we think about it from Teresa, what you just said. We all start out as a 10. We're all magnificent. So what if we started out with that? We honored our emotions, like Wanda said. We be honest with ourselves. We be grateful for them. In fact, like Sarah is focusing on the positive. And then we can sit, like with Deborah, who says, with our guidance system, because we have it. That's how magnificent we are. And that's how brilliant the four of you are here today. And so let's learn a little bit more about each of you. So Wanda, why don't you tell us about who you work with and what do you do and what are you passionate about changing in the world?
I am at work for myself. The name of my company is Alternative Healing. That title comes from alternative healing is a way of healing without using medication or various things, but through the word. And most of the time I look more from a spiritual perspective and build upon that. And I came up with that, or this particular business, is because I lost my mother, and when my mother passed, I was devastated. And the way I felt, and through my background in nursing, mostly mental health nursing, and seeing other families, what they go through when they've lost a loved one, that is the idea of the business, Alternative Healing. And that's how that came about, is helping those that are going through grief and tapping into the coping skills that we have within us and building on that to hope overcome and move forward with that loss that we're experiencing.
And is there a little more to the story about how you came to this work?
It is. Ever since, as far as I can remember, as a child, I always loved helping people. I always loved helping, and I knew I wanted to be this nurse. And not only that, but usually working with those that other people didn't really want to work with. And that's the area of mental health is a challenge for a lot of people, and also gerontology, or working with the older population. And that stuck with me all of my life. And that's been my passion. And today I look back and I'm so glad that I did stick with that. And because I feel like I've helped so many, and in helping other people, it has also helped me to form and shape who I am, and the willingness even today to still be there to help other people in whatever way possible.
Well, I know your broad experience is very unique and can help so many people in their unique situations. So thank you for your work. It's great. So Deborah, tell us about you. What are you passionate about? Who do you work with, and what do you do?
So I'm going to start with the passion. I am so passionate about empowering women to be fully self-expressed, whatever that full self-expression means. And who I work with is high-achieving female entrepreneurs and executives who want to make a huge difference, really, in their communities and the world. And it's my true honor and privilege to work with these women. And I help them, as I was saying earlier, I help them with getting in touch with their intuitive guidance, because first of all, it works. And second of all, I'm not always there to help them with whatever issues they're dealing with. And they have a go-to with their intuitive guidance. So I'd like to actually share about one of my long-term clients. And I started working with her when she was in her 30s, and now she's in her 40s. She has started out as a solopreneur, starting a public relations and lobbyist agency that turned into an agency. And the agency is highly sought after. And so she has expanded and grown really astronomically, both personally and professionally. And what she would probably say, not to put words in her mouth, but what she would probably say is that she's more self-aware, self-confident, savvy, definitely uses her voice way more, and really is, like I said, sought after.
Well, that's great that you're making an impact with women who are changing the world as well. Great. So let's hear from Sarah, and I muted you, but you can unmute. And Sarah, tell us who you work with, what you do, and a little bit about your backstory.
Well, I work with people that are struggling with some changes or trauma in their life and who going through a lot of stress. I don't work with them directly, but they will be my audience. I speak to those women. I share my story. My story is I'm a survivor of the killing fields of Cambodia. And you probably know that there are about 2 million people died within 4 years of communism took over. And I almost did not make it. But thank God that He saved my life and I'm here today. So from that background, I realized that how abrupt change can hit our life unexpectedly and it can turn our life upside down. And when I look at all the people that I'm talking to, they're probably facing that kind of change in their life. That's why they are so stressful. And and when I tell my story, many people can relate, can adopt, can take into the consideration. Yes. So I give them hope that if I can handle this dramatic change, they can do it. But I got them how to look into an impossible situation, but make it possible, make it work for you. So I will go through, look into your own inventory internally. You don't have to have material. I lost everything when the communists took over. But what we have is inside of us. We look inside and how we manage to make that change.
Oh, so inspirational. And you know what? You truly give hope to people that they can do it, that they have the power to change. And it doesn't require anything but looking within and changing their perspectives. So thank you for that brilliance and congratulations on all your change and surviving. So Teresa, I wanted to turn over to you and talk to you about, who do you work with? What do you do? What are you passionate about?
Ooh, great question. So I have been a portrait photographer for 10 years, and just kind of naturally happened where I was helping younger photographers know how to set their pricing and then feel the courage to charge what they needed to charge to run a successful business. And then all of a sudden this group formed out of it, and then it got bigger, and then it was other businesses. And so I like to say I work with fellow anxious business owners who are just trying to, especially creatives, because you're creating out of who you are and then you're putting a price tag on it, and that's very uncomfortable. And so I like to work with anxious business owners to kind of center themselves on what it is they offer, and not being scared to charge what they need to charge to be successful. So that's what I do.
That's great. Empowering people to not only remember their 10, that they are a 10, but charge for their value.
Accordingly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
accordingly, right? Is
Exactly.
there any more to the story that we should know about your background?
I always go back to how this moment happened for me, because I think, it's a drastically undervalued industry, and you make up your price when you start the business, usually in a bubble by yourself, just looking at what others do. And I was no different. And I was really burnt out one night, and I went to a a Patti LaBelle concert for my birthday. We had awful seats. And this one moment, Patti LaBelle took off her microphone and she actually just sang and filled the entire auditorium with her voice. And if you were there and you were around it, you're like, oh my gosh, this is the most, it was so powerful. And I realized like that's the really big thing she was meant to do for the world. She was meant to be Patti. And how lucky are all of us that we got to enjoy that. And I thought, well, okay, for photographers, for other creatives, like if that's the really big thing you were meant to do for the world, then how can you be your best? How can you be your most successful at that? So I always say that Patti LaBelle gave me a new attitude. That's a Patti LaBelle joke for you hardcore fans.
That's great. And you're now passing that on to people. So thank you. Thank you for all your wisdom. And I want to hear one last answer from each person about Women Speakers Association, because here we bring together amazing women like you together, and want to know what the value you're taking away in 30 seconds or less, if we can go through that. Wanda, why don't you share?
I am so grateful that I joined the Women Speakers Association because of the opportunity to network with people and to feel like that I'm not out here by myself, because I do work alone. But the time that I have when I'm logging in or we're Zooming and I'm talking to other ladies who are, or other people who are in business, and the support that I get, and it's priceless. And that has been a great tool for me. It keeps me motivated, because there are times that I feel like, oh, I don't feel like doing this today. But when I'm networking with others, it motivates me. And then I end up being much more productive.
Yeah, we have lots of great networking opportunities for you all. And Deborah, what are you valuing from Women Speakers Association?
Well, I love, love, love Women Speakers Association. I'm a huge fan and so glad that I joined. And what I'm very excited about, in addition to the community aspect that Wanda talked about, is that in 2021, I will be part of the virtual bookstore, the WSA bookstore, and my memoir, Beyond Chaos, Journey to Freedom and Joy, will be in that virtual bookstore, as well as on social media. It will be promoted through WSA, and I'm thrilled.
Yes, we give a lot of visibility opportunities. So thank you for taking advantage of that. And Sarah, what is the value you receive from Women Speakers Association?
Well, I receive a lot through networking, like the other lady who mentioned, and also I learn a lot from highly skilled women in the group that they teach. I go through the library, the rich resource in the library to learn from them. It's just amazing. And I'm also looking forward to um, gain more exposure, because the way that WSA is set up and allow us to have this directory, the what is that, e-directory, that people from all over the world can find us. So that's quite a value right there. So I'm really excited.
Yay. That is one of the best things we have, is the community and the directory, and then the opportunities to gain the knowledge from skilled, I like how you said it, highly skilled speakers. And Teresa, what is the value you've gotten from Women Speakers Association?
Women have something to say. We have something to say. And what I love about the Women Speakers Association is, no matter what your message, they give you a platform and they help you stay encouraged. So even if it's not the big stage, if it's a book or a podcast, there's just support and resources there, and encouragement, and other women to be inspired by, which I think for me has been the best part, just to see everything that's possible.
Yeah, it's truly a sisterhood, and thank you for being a part of it. And if you'd like to learn more, go to joinwsa.com and check us out. You can even download our free speaker success plan there and get started with just some of our wisdom, and then do what Wanda and Teresa and Deborah and Sarah have done, you can always upgrade to the Premier membership. So we will see you next week for another edition of our WSA TV show. Thank you, ladies, for sharing how to change, and change all starts from within. Have a great day. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thanks.